After that, we got busy working for a while, spending the next few days performing a bounce around of moving in new equipment and working through the database for biotech's state-of-the-art technology, experimental weapons, armors, computer systems, microchips, and even different types of nanites that could be added to Titan's physiology. Anything and everything was up for debate, trying to find different combinations that might function well. But by the looks of it, we were most likely looking at a complete rebuild. The only thing that we weren't replacing was the exceptionally rare metal that we made the blades out of. That we now had the technology to melt down and reforge, which was actually exceptionally difficult in any other circumstance. But it allowed us a lot of leeway to make alterations. Titan was actually a bit uncomfortable with the idea of being taken apart. She seemed to like her current body. However, I assured her that her new body would be better, so she reluctantly agreed. So, after we moved the last of the equipment in and had everything set up, which we had chosen the garage as the primary workspace, things were moving along at pace. A very reasonable one at that. We weren't trying to work too hard. It was nowhere near the breakneck pace that we were trying to keep when we were getting ready for the Black Label races. There was a lot of pressure on then, but now we had a bit more breathing room, so we could spend more time thinking about it and working over everything. And currently, we were in the phase of creating Titan's new weapons and armor layout, deciding computer systems and what mixtures of what technology we were going to put in. I was currently having a conversation with Danny, looking over some blueprint designs that he drew up. Having holographic imaging was definitely speeding things up, without having to deal with clunky paper that we had to pack around, and that it was hard to remove mistakes on. The holographic displays just seemed to make everything easier. Everything was recorded on a central database that we could transfer around the house at will, and that could be projected anywhere we happened to be. Which is when I heard something that I was beginning to get a bit too used to hearing. "No, you incompetent lump of metal! I said cinnamon tea. This is peppermint. Did I ask for peppermint? No." Which was quickly followed by a series of clanking and beeping, as Mr. Jangles seemingly argued the point. "No, don't you take that tone with me. Who made who here? And I most certainly did not make your ears defective. Do it again. This time, try doing it right," the doctor shouted at Jangles, as he grasped the cup of tea and the plate that it was sitting on, and clanked off, looking rather upset. Frustratedly, you might say. Once again, subtly beeping as he left, like he was mumbling under his breath, something nasty about the doctor. Once again, a touch that I did not expect him to add in to a little robot's programming, being a wise ass. But the doctor had been exceptionally irritable the last few days, and that wasn't the first time that he had blown up on Jangles. Something was definitely off, and I had given it enough time, so I decided to step away for a moment and see if I could suss it out. I walked over behind the doctor. "Hey, are you busy?" "Busy? Whatever would give you that idea? I'm just programming 15 different security systems, designing blueprints, creating programs to work in nearly endless list of weaponry through a single isolated system, and working countless possible upgrades. Whatever could have given you the idea that I was busy? He said, turning around and looking at me furiously. Okay, Doc, you are cranked up to 10. What the hell is going on with you? What are you all pissed off about? You've been blowing up on jangles non-stop. And I heard you. You did say peppermint tea. Ugh. The doctor sighed. I did, didn't I? Ugh, this whole situation is just unnerving. Well, what situation? I asked, as I walked over, leaning on his desk a bit, crossing my arms and looking at him, waiting for a response. It's not something that I'd expect you to get. You've always had to deal with your limitations. But I assure you, I am quite used to a different style of life. The limitations placed on me, these persistent bars, they're vexing, maddening. Here when I made the deal with the believer, I expected it to be at its end by now. He agreed that I would be given what he promised me after I got you through the Black Label races and into Newgate City. And yet here I am, still waiting. I mean, I trust that he is going to honor his side of the bargain. Of the many things that he is, a liar is not amongst them. When he sets a deal, he abides it. However, he is also somewhat of a selfish prick, concerning himself heavily with his own goals and agendas. Honestly, I'm not exactly the one to nitpick over this because, well, I'm much the same. I'm just used to the shoe being on the other foot, I suppose. This being at someone else's beck and call doesn't suit me. Okay, I think I get it, I replied, scratching the side of my temple with one finger for a moment. But there is something that I don't get. Something that I want you to explain. And this time, I don't want you to use the terms, "you wouldn't get it," or "you wouldn't believe me if I told you." How about we scrap that concept? Pretend that I'm an idiot and will just believe anything, regardless of how absurd it might sound. What exactly did the believer promise you? I asked, looking over to the doctor with a focused and serious expression. Well, I suppose saying that you wouldn't believe me if I told you is off the list now. So, if you really want to know, I suppose I could say, but you're going to believe it's absurd. It's not a question of if. You just won't believe it. Even if I tell you with all the seriousness in the world, it won't amount to anything. You'll mark it as insanity. So, do you still want to hear? The doctor said, casting back the same serious expression I was giving him. Yeah, lay it on me already. What's the deal? What did he promise you? The doctor smiled, a wide, toothy grin. He promised me at least a portion of my power back. Power like you wouldn't believe. The look on his face was quite frankly unsettling in many different aspects and on a bunch of levels. That crooked smile just sent shivers up my spine. What do you mean promised you your power? Or a portion of it? What kind of power are you talking about? Political power? Money? Leverage on someone? Status? There are all sorts of power. What kind are you talking about? Remember, I warned you. The power that he promised to return to me is magical power. Magic power, I said, raising one of my eyebrows. "You're joking, right?" I replied. "Oh, not in the least. You love your gadgets, your technology, your guns. Me? I love magic. And I am good with it. I used to have magical assets and power beyond your wildest imagination. With the snap of my fingers, I could make anything happen. Anything in the world. Things that you would consider absurd, out of a fairy tale. I could pull things from your worst nightmares or make your deepest heart's desire reality. All with a snap of these little fingers," he said, holding up 2 fingers and giving off a loud snap. Just like that, it'd be done. Whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted it. I, unlike so many others, who believe that money is power, that wealth is power, influence is power, respect is power. I'm sorry to bust your bubble, but the only true power is power. The power to do what you want when you want to do it, and to be so unquestionably powerful that no one can stop you from doing it, even if they want to. Regardless of numbers, regardless of resource, regardless of status, they can't touch you. My power was near infinite, and now it's all but not.